live. Sometimes it says setting up. Yes. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm here with María Salas.
Hello.
Maria took part in the translation challenge last year at the University of Essex. Now, Maria, tell us your language pairs and where are you from? Just tell us a bit about yourself.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me and for this chat that we're having. I'm happy to be here. My name is Maria. I'm from Colombia in South America, and my main language pair is English and Spanish. Most specifically Spanish for Latin America. And I sometimes also work with French, but currently I am focusing on English and Spanish.
Yeah, and you did. And what did you do at the University of Essex?
So in the Uni of Essex, I completed a master's in translation, interpreting, and subtitling, and it was wonderful. It was amazing. I just finished. I got my diploma in December, actually, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, and when we met last year, it was obviously last January, because we started it last January, and the awards day was in February 8th, 21st, one of them. Obviously, you were right at the beginning of your master's. You probably thought it will never finish, So what was the process like?
I enjoyed it from beginning to end. It was a wonderful experience for me. And I was very motivated to do anything that I could, like get into events, projects, get to know people, and make the most out of the master's. So it was really wonderful for me. And after all the coursework, which was very challenging in its ways, then we had to go through with the dissertation, and that one. So after the master's is only 1 year here in the UK, and I always thought that maybe 1 year would not be enough. And after the coursework was over, I was still craving a little bit more. But then the dissertation came, and I realized that the dissertation is a really big part of it, because you have to do your own research, and it's up to you how deep you want to go into whatever you're studying. And I went for subtitling, and I learned so much. Like I learned a lot during the coursework, but for dissertation, I feel like I did so much work. I learned so much. I was really motivated by what I chose. So it was a big part of the master's degree.
Excellent. So you used your dissertation subject to go even deeper in subtitling. Well done. Congratulations. And now you took part in last year's translation challenge competition. And what was it like? I mean, how much did you know about the translation industry, the commercial aspect of translation before the competition and after the competition? What was it like, the differences or any experiences you had, by taking part in the competition?
Yes, well, I had worked with translation before, but I was never, let's say, like steering the wheel. So for the translation challenge,
I love this steering the wheel. I love this.
So for the translation challenge, I was appointed the project manager of our group, and so let's say that I knew, because of the master's, because of my previous work experience, that there were some steps that you have to follow whenever there's a translation project. But with the translation challenge, I was in front of it. I was, let's say, the team leader, and I had to go through all of the steps myself. So let's say that I learned about the workflow. I learned about how a translation project starts, develops, and then how it is wrapped up. And then you get feedback. I got to go through all the steps with my teammates. So it was a very a very good experience to learn how it actually works in the real world.
How many people were in your group?
I don't remember exact. I think we were a big group. We were like
Okay.
6 people.
All right.
Yeah, we had to. So we decided to um, appoint people like different tasks, different responsibilities,
All right.
and that's how we worked. We worked on the translation challenge. But I don't know if you have any questions about that, or should I
What would be
talk
interesting
about
is
that?
to tell us how the duties were distributed. You were the project manager, so what else took part in the group? So if you describe us how the group worked.
Yes, so we had an initial meeting, and it was a very important one. We went over the texts that we had to translate. So I think that was important to come together and read the text, talk about the text,
And
discuss
it was
what is
a
this about.
very technical text, wasn't it?
It
It
was
was
a
very
very
technical.
technical
Yeah,
text.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yes,
remember.
it had certain parts that were very challenging, but we didn't know that at first. We were like, okay, we're not sure how we're going to do it, but let's just, let's do an overview. So we got together, we read over the text, we discussed like, okay, what do you think this is about? What is the target audience? Like, what should we do? What are our goals?
Yeah,
And then we said, okay, we should divide the work, which actually happens in a real translation company. So you have to decide um, who's going to do the translation. Then you can also do some proofreading, and then you can do like let's say like a final review where you put everything together. So we divided these responsibilities, and we you can normally do this whether like in the real world or for the translation challenge, depending on, let's say, your strongest skills. So if
yeah,
somebody feels more comfortable doing the translation, the initial translation, then, or if somebody knows about the subject, then you can give that to this person.
yeah,
um, and then according to each person's skills, you can assign the tasks.
yeah.
So we divided the text. We appointed 3 or 4 translators. I can't remember right now. And
Wow.
then a teammate and we were the proofreaders. We reviewed the translations. We put them together, which you would think that is very easy. It's just to copy and paste, but it wasn't. It actually, I think it took a long time because we had to make sure that we were consistent. And I think that is a very, very critical and crucial point in translation, because people will always translate different. If you ask a translator, how would you say this? They will show you a very much different text than another translator. So when you're going to put everything together, if you divide
Yeah,
the translations, you have to make sure that there's consistency, and you have to make sure that you are actually using the right terms,
yeah,
especially for a translation that was so technical and
yeah,
so specialized. You have to make sure that you're using the right terms of the industry. So that
yeah,
took a long time.
yeah, yeah. If
Yeah.
I remember correctly, it was a software for cooling data centers. So
Yes.
there was so many industry specific terms, and what they did was quite amazing, because you couldn't you had to cool it down enough, because if you cool down too much, then it becomes too expensive. If you don't cool it enough, the data center can crash. So it was so critical. And so what I'm hearing from Maria is that, so even though you did translations before, working in a team, that was a different experience for you, because you had to, not just translate on your part, but also deliver it to the client.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
yeah, that's
Yeah, it had an added value because I had worked as a translator before, and I had worked as a team. But now for this translation, I was a project manager, so I actually had to. It's the entire process. You have
yeah,
to
yeah,
receive the task from the client. You get a translation brief. you have to divide the responsibilities. Like you actually have to be the manager of
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah.
So that was a new experience for me, and I think it was very enriching experience.
Wow.
Um, and you feel more responsible because we had to make sure, like we really wanted to win the translation
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah,
So we
it's
were
a
like,
competition after all. So you,
yes, yes.
yeah, yeah,
And we had really good other classmates that were competing as well, and we knew that they were really good. So we wanted to make sure that we did a great job, and we were very
yeah.
careful with all of the steps. And I think we had a very good communication with our teammates. So that was great as well.
Excellent, excellent. So what do you do now? Now that you're graduated from the university, you got your dissertation, and congratulations for that. So what do you do now?
Well, I am very lucky because I was able to get an internship in a translation company. Well, this company does more than translation. It does a lot of language services. It's called Alpha, and I am the most recent intern for Latin American Spanish,
Right.
because this company, the translators and the language experts, most of them are native speakers. So we have people from all around the world, and they
Right.
have offices all around the world, doing more than translation. It's localization.
Right.
So we focus on the target markets, the target countries, and it's been wonderful. It's only been 3 months, but I am learning so much. I am both translating and doing proofreading.
Excellent. Sounds like you're enjoying it very much. And
Yes.
how do you think the translation challenge, you are taking part in the competition, what sort of effect it did on you to get that job? Or
Well,
did it have any effect on you to get?
yeah, no, it did, because it gave, as I said, it gave me a sense of how an actual translation, the whole project takes place,
Yeah.
and for me to understand, because we hear about it in class. Let's say in the masters, teachers are always telling us, like, you have clients, you have translation briefs, you have a goal, you have a project, and then you have to proofread. And it's great to have the theory, and I am very much for knowledge and for theory, but it's also very important to have the practice.
Yeah.
So to put it in practice, it just gave me a sense of what it was like in the real world. And for my interviews, I actually applied to several jobs, and for my interviews and for my CV, I always included and talked about the translation challenge, because it was a real life experience. So it is
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
valuable.
Yeah, excellent. Nice. It's really glad to hear it. That, I mean, even though you did translations before, working as a project manager gave you a different aspect of uh, the workflow. Because I often talk about this. When freelance translators understands the project, what goes on in a translation company, they can do a much better collaboration. And if the
Yes.
collaboration is productive, it is good for all parties. Because at the end of the day, as far as our clients are concerned, we are all part of the same team. You know,
Hmm.
so working as a team, being part of it, having that feeling is so important. And it sounds like you enjoyed it very much, and you're enjoying what you're doing. That's really important, because companies need interns and full-time employees who have passion in what they do.
Yes, I agree. I agree. It's not just about translating in Google Translate and not caring about it. I think that it's important to care and love what you do, and translation it can be exciting. It can, for me, I like it because I learn every single day. I learn something new. I discover new things, I read new things, and I get better every day. I improve, and I like it. It's very satisfying.
Yeah,
And you were talking about collaboration and teamwork, and that's something else about the translation challenge, because I worked as a freelancer before my master's and before this internship, but I was working by myself, and sometimes that can be a lot to handle. When you have a team, it's really good because you can rely on other people. You can have points of view that you would never consider when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes people know about things that you don't know, so they teach you, or they have you use different tools. So that was another thing that I wanted to recommend for translation. You have to take advantage of all of the tools that you have, because you will never know everything about a translation, everything about a text. So it's important to rely on your team, your teammates. For example, in our team, my teammate, who was the other proofreader, she consulted with other professionals. So let's say we talked to an engineer, and we asked him. He was also Colombian, so he spoke Spanish. But when you in Colombia or anywhere else in the world, you usually read papers or articles that are in English. So we consulted, like, what is this? Because we don't know what this is. It's so technical. What does it mean? Help us understand. And then he would say, I think that this means, he explained it to us. And then we were like, okay, so this term makes more sense. But we only got to that answer because we collaborated. So it's a very important thing to do.
Yeah. That's. Thank you very much for sharing. Now, something I'd like to ask you on a different subject. You're from Colombia, and I've recently watched a documentary about Colombia, and there was this guy, riding his motorcycle across Colombia, and it was such an amazing country. So, what do you miss most about Colombia?
Oh, that's a complicated answer. I miss it very, very much. Colombia is a beautiful country. As you said, the landscapes are beautiful. You will find whatever you can dream of, you can find in landscapes of Colombia, because it is very varied. We have mountains, we have deserts, we have oceans, we have jungle, we have forests and flowers, and it's just beautiful. Wherever you go, you can find a beautiful place in Colombia. So I definitely miss the landscape. I miss the land, and the culture. I miss the warmth of the people. I believe that Colombians are just beautiful people. So I miss the people, but it's also great here, and I plan to come back whenever it's safe to travel, spend some time there, and then come back here to the UK.
Excellent. I think it's all about embracing different cultures, and I'd love to go to Colombia and spend time there. Hopefully this pandemic is out of our way, then we'll be free to.
No, Colombia is wonderful. I really, really recommend getting to know Colombia, or really South America, Latin America. It's such a diverse and rich culture, and like a fun fact. Being Colombian actually benefits me, because geographically it's located more or less like between Central America and South America. It's like more or less in the middle, let's say. So the Spanish that we use in Colombia, I'm not saying that it's neutral, because it's not, but geographically it does help me to be able to do translations for the entire Latin America. Because let's say that I am more central, so it does help me a lot, because I'm close to, let's say, Mexico, which is one of the references for Latin American translations. But we're also relatively close to the southern countries.
Right.
So that has been a benefit for me that I didn't know that I would have. But it is now.
Excellent. Very pleased to hear that. Well, Maria, thank you very much for your time. You had a long day and you came to show and to share your experiences. I hope the listeners found it useful. And thank you very much for your time. And I wish you all the success in your employment, and embracing different cultures and translations, and keep up the passion and I'm sure our paths will cross at some point, some place, and something to do with languages.
Yes,
So
I'm sure
thank you very much
too.
for your time.
No, thank you so much for getting in touch with me. It was really fun to be here, and I wish you the best of luck to all the competitors, and have fun. Take this as an opportunity, whether if it's just a competition or if it's practice. It's really valuable. So enjoy it and learn as much as you can. And yes, of course, we'll be in touch. That's another good thing about translation. You do a lot of networking and you get to know a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's a small world. At the end of the day, it's a very small world for
Yes.
languages anyway. So Maria, thank you very much indeed.